Good evening and welcome to Not a Good Hockey Pod, episode 5. I'm your host, Alex Nez, and this burly bearded bastard here is my co host, Mick Finley. And well, today, we're going to be tapping into some things that we've been going on and experiencing ourselves here in this NHL world. And we don't have to go around and talk about some dog shit teams that we don't care about anymore.
Yeah,
So that's
thank God.
so that's pretty awesome, huh?
I am glad that's
Um,
over with.
Yeah, dude. Oh, me too. I mean, listen, it was nice to kind of see who's the roster and everything on those, but at the same time, let's focus on what matters, and that's Penguins hockey. A little sprinkle of Bruins bullshit in there if
No,
you
it's
have to.
it's Bruins hockey with some Penguin shit sprinkled in there.
Yeah, okay,
That's
whatever.
what you need.
Anyways, we
It's all
got.
right.
Let's keep this
Mis-
moving.
Mistakes will be made by you. It's okay. Continue.
Oh, dude, tell me about it. We're already getting buried here on this internet by some
One
randoms that we have
comment.
no idea.
One comment living in
That's
my head rent
insane.
free.
Buried.
That Ducks take? Whose?
That's
Which
what I'm
one?
saying. And now I can't sleep at night.
Can't sleep.
Listen, Ducks at 6. It's gonna fucking sit pretty.
Ducks dead
Um,
last. Ducks don't even get ranked. That's how bad they are. They're not even in. They put a different hockey team from the ECHL and then the Ducks. Jot
oh,
that down. Comment
yeah.
on that.
Uh huh.
All right. So yeah. So today we're finally done talking about teams we don't care about. Honestly, no, that was fun to do though. To kind of like, I guess it's important to say, duh, we don't know what we're talking about. That was the whole point. Where do me and you think this is going to land? Because me and your thoughts are the podcast. It doesn't mean that we're right. We don't know. And
No, I'm
neither
always
does anybody else, by the way, because the season hasn't started yet. That's the whole point, right? So yes, glad we're done talking about it. I think it was a fun conversation too, and it tested me. Like I was like, I don't know, like this is
right.
just my thoughts visibly. So, but now we're talking about stuff that we do actually know because this is where our heart lies, right? Like in our teams, what we focus on, and the preseason wrapped yesterday.
Yeah.
So I think
Good
we
luck.
should. I think it's a good time to talk about what we saw, what we liked, what we disliked. Uh, I'd like to talk about our fantasy time too. We did our draft. That was a wild
Yeah,
ride.
absolutely. You want to go first on yours, and how you feeling about your roster? How you feeling about your draft?
Well, about the draft, so we had to add a new guy this year. He's in Texas hockey. I don't know why we have so many Texas hockey lovers in this fucking.
It's wild. It turned me into one though. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
you're a diehard. You are. This is gonna be a Stars podcast by the end of this episode. I think. Like it's. No, but it was cool. He's a great dude. I'm glad he's part of this. But just in classic Paul fashion, this pod will know who Paul is if they watch, even if they don't know him, because he's so bad at this, buddy.
Year after year.
So, to a little bit of background on Paul, the first year we started this league, he took his first pick. I think it was the third overall pick, and he drafted Dustin Bufflin because there was hits added to our league, and that's fine, except for you would never pick Dustin Bufflin with your first pick in a hit league. So that's already make fun of. But
That's fun.
but the day before the draft, Dustin Bufflin retired,
And that's
right?
too.
that's, that's and that's the guy we're talking about, right? So he picked Swayman with his first pick 5 days ago, 5 days before today, where Swayman signed, which is obviously the big thing we're going to talk about today is Sway. Uh, but with his first overall pick, he picked a fucking goalie and one that didn't have an NHL contract. And then he just like rage quit in the middle of the draft and auto drafted. And his second pick, Will Smith of the fucking Sharks. Not even Macklin.
I
Not
thought he was
even
going two for
Macklin.
two. I wasn't sure if he was auto drafting because I saw that. I'm like, this just cannot be real. Like, this cannot be it, dude. Like, I was here pulling for you for years, pal, but you did not make that easy this year. So now I just hope you get buried underneath
It's
this fucking league, dude, because
oh yeah, he's fucked. The
although,
guy that
actually, you know what? Actually, I will say thank you, Paul, because this whole time leading up to it, I'm like, all right, I kind of gave up a little at the end of last year. I had a lot going on, and I'm like, I'm sitting third for my pick, and I'm like, man, it's gonna go Jarvis and then Johnston, and then I'm like, I don't know who to go after that. It's just not gonna
sure.
make my team any better. And then I saw the Swayman pick, and you would have thought that I won the World Series. You would have thought, you would have
Buddy,
thought that
I'm
my dad came back home from getting his actual milk and cigs. Like I was ecstatic. And man, was that the easiest pick of the draft for me that I've ever had into this
yeah.
league. So, Paul, thanks, pal, for being a fucking idiot.
I really appreciate your verbal and abusive attack immediately too. It made me feel a lot better.
I
Um,
I was on one.
yes.
I just blacked out happiness. I never had that before in my life.
All right. So to recap, so I was pretty happy with my draft last year. I was a little like I was a little distracted. I had the puppy. He was going barking the whole time. I had everyone on FaceTime. Like this year, I was able to like put myself away and actually pay attention. And I didn't have the highest pick, so I walked away. I felt pretty good, right? Like I have good keepers and stuff, but my team assembled. It feels very balanced for the first time in a long time. Like I have some young, exciting stuff to watch. I did get Cutter Gauthier. I did get what's his name from I
Mitchkov.
always Michkov, yeah. So I got him, but I also got some bruisers out there to help with those hits. I feel like my team is a playoff caliber team. I do.
But I'm looking at your roster right now. Sorry to cut you off because I'm
No,
sure
you're
you're gonna
good.
go on your thing here, but like Jesus Christ, dude, you're fucking stacked.
Yeah, it's something I can roster bait too hard. Like it's really good. It's fun up and down, balanced. There's some question marks. I mean, I can make some adjustments, but I'm not. I'm trying to go into this year not being the fucking psychopath I am with trades. Every year I go, okay, I need to trade everyone on this team because I lost to somebody, and I don't let my team like just get healthy and
No,
happy,
don't
and
don't
I just,
become emotionally regulated now, pal. Don't do
what do
it.
you want me to do, man?
Oh,
I'm
there's a,
not.
there's a little bit of collusion in this team here too. There's some fuckery on this team with Pasta
I,
sitting there on that roster. It's kind of fucked still, but I digress. We'll keep it
I'm
moving.
sorry. My team's name is Pastafarian.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
It is. How about you, buddy? How's your team looking?
Honestly, a lot better than last year. I feel like I utilized my first couple picks in a much better fashion than I did the past couple
Wyatt.
of years. Because the last couple of years, I was just trying to find like I can always find the bruisers. I can always find some really good centers and top line power play players, but I struggle in finding like good goaltenders and consistent goaltenders. So, last year I was like, you know what? The Pens really need to make a playoff push. Jari was the number one, so I took Jari early because I was like, they're going to get a good amount of wins. And then he just got hurt,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
and then the Pens just didn't do so hot. I also was drafting in a parking lot in Ohio at
Yeah.
like I don't know 9 p.m. on a 16-hour drive, so I also wasn't really thinking that well. May have eaten some nutrients on the way too. You know what I mean?
Sure. Sure.
Um,
I mean,
but
it
yeah,
definitely felt that way. Talking to
looking
you,
at
it
my
felt that way.
roster, my starting slots, again, there's just a couple guys on my team where it's like things need to pan out and what I'm hoping for. It's not like these guys have like had a solidified spot year after year after year. It's just who they're around. So the guys that I picked, I'm like, and especially in my later rounds, I'm like, who's around them? What's their scenarios? Are they sitting in the top six? Are they sitting top power play minutes? And I don't hate it.
I think
Tage,
you're.
I'm
I
already
think
overreacting. Tage had a bad first game, and I'm like, oh my god, here we go again. And
should have
then
traded me.
yesterday, 3 shots on goal, gets a goal. He's back. He's back. So I'm not
Well, at
too. I'm
least
not
you're
too.
at least you're emotionally balanced. That's the most important thing is that you can handle adversity really well. I will say this: you have your back end is mean. They're big and they will hit and they will also add points. Like your defensive structure is probably top two.
Yeah,
Honestly,
that's. I kind
you have
of
really
wanted
good.
to fix that from last year too. Is I was just like, man, I kept Rizzo kept on snaking the guys that were like the big hitters, and you did that with me too. In this draft this year, you took Dylan, who can just he has like 300 hits a year. That's a lot of points in our league.
Hmm.
So that's a big piece right there.
I'll say this: you might have a nice little surprise from what I'm reading. Well, your right wings, you have Kucherov and Nylander. That's phenomenal. But I think Nylander's a center this year.
Oh, is he moving over?
Well, they're trying him there, and the cool thing about Yahoo Fantasy is like if you guys play this and don't know or are new to it, when a player plays, I think 10 games, they add the position.
Right.
and then they have to not play that position for 10 games to lose that position. And or I don't know if it's 10 games, but it's some duration of time. So your Nylander might get center right wing,
That'd be
which is
awesome.
just super flexible, right? Like
That'd
just
be huge.
allows so much more. So that's awesome because I don't think I think your center depth is good, but I think your wing depth
Not
is
great.
better.
Wing
Like
indeed has been great. I
yes.
just always struggled year after year, just like not having a top center.
Yep.
And these guys are top centers again, but it's like they're
This is a
adjacent
good
to the
league.
top centers on their team. So it's hopefully, Nugent Hopkins revenge tour, baby. We need it big this year. And I hope Wyatt Johnson doesn't have a slump, man. If that kid can just continue what he's doing, don't change who you are as a player. Just keep doing what you're doing, dude, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
I mean, I'm not trying to brag or flex on you, but when you have McDavid and Eichel as your centers,
That's what I'm saying. Your team is just it's scary. It is scary. I hate to admit that. Uh, Barzal looks great in his preseason. He looks pretty good. Nice snag there. You got him super late too, didn't you? You didn't
yeah.
keep him or
Well,
anything.
I think I got him in the with my fourth pick. I also got Bo Horvat, and I was like, you know what? I'll jug.
Well, we had a little bit of an interruption here because Mick doesn't know how to turn his fucking phone off or on to do not
Sure,
disturb. So
sure.
we're kind of picking up here. Sorry if there's a little gap or if we just lost transition as to what we were talking about because the last 5 minutes were just motherfucking this and that. So,
Yes, yes,
where were we again? Talking about your team and how it's pretty stacked and your
yeah.
center. I think it was your centers that we were just kind of going on.
Center depth is pretty good. But anyways, that was me wrapping the fantasy portion of it. Anyways, sorry for the interruption, but yeah, let's just move through here. We are gonna do our preseason recap of our teams, and then at the end here, we're gonna talk about the Swayman deal and what's coming up for us, right? So, uh, it's up to you, man. If you want to start with the Pens, you probably have a better, more positive outlook, and then I can just roll from my Bruins preseason right into the Swayman conversation.
Yeah, sure.
I think that'd
Definitely.
probably be the better way to do it.
Yeah, because I mean, the Pens, again, not too much to write home about. I think they had a fantastic preseason. It's like the little things that I was hoping that would come out of this team. It's just like, man, that glimmer of lights there.
Sure.
Pittsburgh does have a thing where we just love to shine in preseason and rip our hearts out of our fucking chests with every doesn't matter what sport, pick a sport. It's just gonna happen. We get excited for the Bucks here around April, and we get Paul Skeens. And what do? We have the worst hitting coach of all time. Can't get the bats going for the poor guy. Then you go to the Steelers last year. Kenny Pickett looks like he's about to be the next Tom Brady, and then just forgets how to throw a pass the entire rest of the season. So, there's some things to fix around here, sure. There's still holes on this team that can get attacked as the year goes on. But so far, dude, Rutger has the biggest hog on this team that I've ever seen. What a fucking talent, dude.
Dude's a tripod. He's got three skates.
Three skates. I mean, that's
Three
his whole
skates.
stick, dude. That's his
Yeah.
whole stick. 75% scoring chances when that fucking hog's on the ice.
Oh my
That's
God, dude. I think
massive.
it's I think it's funny because like I don't know really anything about him. There was a bunch of rumors prior that the Bruins were interested in getting him from Winnipeg, and then the Pens did. So I knew his name because of one, his fucking name is hilarious and awesome. Um, and I just love this because like the attention's on him, and he's answering the bell. My buddy sent a message twice about about that goal he scored off the faceoff with Puljujärvi and I think Eller.
Hmm.
Kid is sick.
Yeah, dude.
Kid is
The
sick.
strong. It's looking like a strong third line.
Yeah, that kid's moving up that roster fast.
Yeah.
Fast. I mean, the Pens in general, dude, they always do this. They always do this. They find young talent. Like, who the fuck was Jake Gensel before Jake Gensel?
A
He
dog.
just, okay. He was a puppy, right? Became a dog. Like, but in the playoffs that year, like, the first year they won, he just, like, came out of nowhere. And then all of a sudden he's got 20 goals or something. Like, they just always do this. They take nobody, make him into something. I mean, not that Rutgers nobody. He was obviously high pedigree, and they got their guy. And
Right. But I mean, you can show this time after time how many guys come in here with high pedigree and they just fizzle out to, good, good, 30 goal scorer years, high 20s. But they're just not just hitting that McKinnon level, Matthews level, or whatever they kind of always want to pull them into. But there's one guy on this team, and we all know I could sit next to Sidney Crosby and get 20 points myself. Like
Yeah,
that's that guy is our whole GM, coach, and everything. There's just you can't change my mind about it. He runs that
yeah.
whole team. If you're sitting next to him and learning after the go, you're gonna be way better than you ever were if you're to be stuck on some other team. Like if you're in fucking St. Louis. Sorry about it, but
You just said something that kind of like was eye opening to me. Your expectations, right? Like so expectations, they're not even unrealistic. You come from a situation where 30 goals might not be enough because you have a history of like 60 goal scorers.
right.
Whereas the Bruins don't ever have that expectation of anyone. We always have had grinding two-way defensemen forwards.
Hmm.
So a 25 goal season's like, whoa. And we're never looking for the McKinnons because we're just like, who can bleed harder? Like
Right.
so it's just funny that the makeup of the teams are different and the expectations are different. Like you're like, yeah, we never really get that other McKinnon. There's only one fucking McKinnon. But you're like, ah, shucks, we don't
No,
have a
I
McKinnon.
mean league
I get,
league wise. You know what I
I
mean?
get,
Like,
I get your point though. Your point is that
yeah,
hey, we do have guys like him. You guys always do, from fucking Lemieux to Crosby. Like there's Yager. There's always some 75 fucking goal scorer on the Penguins. The Bruins have historically never had that guy,
right.
right? Like, dude, before Pasta he hit 60.
Mhm.
That's incredible because 1993 was the last year we had a plus 50 goal scorer. I was 8.
That's crazy.
I was fucking 8, dude.
That is
You're
crazy.
used to it every year. You're like, yeah, we didn't win the cup, but we had a guy shoot fucking
We had,
460
we had
goals.
four guys, just yeah. Even our
So
defenseman's getting 100 points most of the
right.
time. It's
It's
so
it's
it's
Paul
good
Coffey,
strategy. You
dude.
guys should probably pick it up. I got to experience,
Nah, no,
three
that's the
cups in my
difference,
life.
right?
Well, five cups total in my life, technically. I was born, and then the Pens just started winning cups. So you do with you what you want with that.
Yeah, dude, that's great.
A bit.
That's probably why they're winning. Idiot. Anyway, I think too. Like I was just looking at it. Like you're right. Like don't inflate yourself. It is preseason. Take a deep breath. How does this translate into the NHL? But there are some bright spots for you.
Are we in a therapy session right now? Is this like a conversation to
That's what the
yourself?
podcast
Is
is.
this for yourself? You're just trying to sell yourself on this,
As
yeah.
soon as you asked me that question, my palms just started sweating so bad because don't you fucking tell me how to handle this. I'm trying to take what you said and apply it to myself. I have a resting heart rate of 140. Okay?
Oh God. Yeah, I got 911 on speed dial for you.
That my wife would just show up. There's no point. Anyway, long story short, I think that you're right. There are some bright spots for the Pens, but you're right. Like preseason gets you elevated, and you got to remember it shouldn't. How does this translate? And carrying that over to my fucking team, the last 2 goddamn games, a total of 24 shots.
Ooh.
That's 12 a game.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see
Mm-hmm.
that. That's tough.
What?
That's
Well, you
tough.
didn't see the shots not happening. I
Well,
understand. I understand why you didn't because they didn't fucking happen. There was nothing to write home about. We got shut out by the Caps yesterday. Again, AHL team. But the game before that, against the
still.
Kings in Quebec, with Bergeron coming out and getting a fucking standing O from Quebec City, I'm in tears. I'm not handling it well. He's on the plane with the boys. I'm crying. I'm like, is he coming back? Is he coming back? No, he's not. He's just
Yeah,
looking
I thought they were going to
beautiful.
strap up the pads on that guy. Someone fucking net.
Guy's so tan and sexy right now. It's crazy. He looks the happiest he's ever held because he's out of that fucking
Because he's out
shithole.
of that barn, yeah. Ugh.
He's just home with his beautiful family, just doing the right things by his kids now, just being perfect.
I love to hear it.
Anyway, he gets honored by a QC. We come out, we just lay a fucking egg. Lay an egg. 12 shots. With, by the way, our entire team besides Swayman. By the way, Swayman's not there to shoot, but I bet you Swayman would have more fucking shots than 9 of our forwards. This is bullshit. And the truth is, I text you, I was like, oh, Jesus. And you're like making Quentin Byfield look like Gretzky. No, fucking Quentin Byfield made himself look like Gretzky, dude. That kid was on fire.
He's good.
Regardless of what we did shot-wise, he looked great.
Yeah.
He looked great. I was like, who is this kid? And again, we have this. That's the cool thing about our previews, right? Like now we have this attention on what we were talking about, and so Byfield for me was like a high pick, and you knew who he was. But now I watch him because I'm like, yeah, you're right. Holy shit, this kid's good, really
Good.
good.
Yeah.
Carved up our defense like a fucking turkey, just
Yeah,
cutting through.
I think I'm gonna have to have a lot of late nights watching these Kings games, man. There's again, they're one of those teams that are exciting, and I always find myself up at like 1 in the morning watching them. These past couple of years, and I'm like, they just had this cool style to them that I enjoy
Yeah,
watching.
yeah. I don't. I hate them, but that was cool to watch him cut through the fucking D like that. Anyways, yeah. I was not impressed with our preseason. I never am. I'm never satisfied. There was this giant fucking black cloud over everything, and we're gonna get into that soon. But not good enough, man. Not good enough. It just
Right.
wasn't good enough. And the truth is like it's preseason, and we're trying to figure out who our bottom six are, and our defensive core is fan fucking tastic. And you just give it some time, and you're gonna be like, Jesus, we got to go up against the Bruins trees in the back end.
Right.
Like, dude, at one point in the Kings game, I was looking at we were on a power play, and the Kings are historically a big team.
Hmm.
Like they're a big franchise. No, I'm sorry. It was the Flyers game we won, and I'm looking at like Konechny out there and all these kids, and I'm like, we're huge. We're
Oh yeah.
monsters.
So I
We
was
are
saying that before,
huge.
man. You guys got bears on your fucking team that
Bears.
they're just gonna go right through you.
But you know what bears do? You know what bears historically do?
Shit in the
Hibernate
woods.
throughout the fucking winter. Hibernate throughout the winter. And with 11 shots on goal, somebody go wake that fucking bear up because this is ridiculous, dude.
It will.
Like
The Bruins always seem to do this for some reason. It's just like they downplay themselves. They have this thing, and then boom, it's like
it's
we're mid-season. They're just top three or something like that. I don't know how.
it's because life likes to just shoot electric lightning bolts down on me and make me frustrated. You're right. You are right. Calm down. It's just preseason. And I am. I know these don't count, but I am afraid of what I saw.
Hmm.
And I have every right to be frustrated with 11 shots on goal even in preseason. Because
That
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 means
is a little
you're not
crazy.
taking training seriously.
It's got to be right. I mean, that's
Right.
the only way that I can really look at it. I mean, even the Sharks put up 6 goals yesterday. It's like against the Knights. It's that's an astonishing stat that you just dropped on me right there. That's kind of impressive to even land that. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, of course, dude, that's not going to always happen. There's just no way. I
No.
can't see it.
No.
But fuck, that would set me up, to be pretty angry if I started seeing that again. Because the last 2 years in preseason, I'm like, that's all I kept saying. I was like, this is not enough. And then every move that they seemed to make was just getting worse and worse and worse. I'm like, what are we trying to do here? Because you're not even getting picks out of these things. It's like it was just so crazy. I was like, we're doomed. We're doomed for the next 20 years, and we're burning Crosby's final years. Now it's kind of flipped a little bit. Old pool party, old pool Joe coming through. That guy is
He
about to
looks
have another
good.
revenge tour. He looks like a dog, dude. And I saw him a little bit last year when they were showing him, and I was like, oh man, this guy played with some high caliber talent. If he can just kind of come back from his injury, which I've seen a lot of players do, then what a steal that we got out of this guy, and it's really showing up this year. He seems happy to be there. He seems to just be like, throw me in any role on this team, and I'm going to show up. I can already see that out of him, which is like incredible. But there hasn't been much change elsewise on our end. Did you guys get rid of any players that you were kind of upset about, or anybody in Boston's like, what the hell's going on? Or
Well, it's a great question. Before we jump into my team, let's go over your lines, right? Like, so I have the projected lineups here for the Penguins, and that's a really good way. Like, so preseason's over, things needed to shake themselves out, and they did the way they did. Whatever the performance was, obviously informed coaching's decisions. And so on Daily Faceoff, I have the lines in front of me here, and I wanted to kind of get your feel on them. So I'll read off the Penguins lines to you from what they're projecting, and you tell me how that feels. Like Bolivier, Crosby, and Rust. I like that. I think Anthony Bolivier is very underwhelming in an Islanders system, but next to Crosby, maybe again what you were saying, 20-goal guy.
Right.
Um,
And
Rust is a
a little bit of grit too, man. He played on that like gritty like Islanders team, man, and like that's what we needed on that team, just to kind of have Crosby focus a little bit more on that net instead of like over his shoulder. And I
was I'm sorry, was Bolivia? He was in the Islanders, but didn't he play also for Van last year? What, I'm gonna look that up because I
I
don't
think
know.
yeah, I would say I think he came into the league with the Islanders though. I don't think we
Okay,
got him from there, and I was drawing a blank as to where we got him. It wasn't
okay.
the Preds, was it?
Mm, I'll look. We'll
I
look.
should know
But
this.
but continue it.
I'm
But
being a bad
continue.
fan. Yeah, I'm being a bad fan.
No,
But
It's Anthony Bolivier, dude. It's not fucking somebody else, you know.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we've been
uh,
going over. I can't remember where everybody came from, but um,
nope. Yes. So he was everywhere. We're way off. He played for
so
the
he's just everywhere.
Islanders. He did play for the Canucks for 2 years. Then last year he played for three teams: Canucks, Blackhawks, and Preds.
Okay, I think this last stop was the Preds, and we got him from there.
Yep.
So all right, good fan. Look at that. Yeah, I mean that's what I kind of like about this team so far is there's that we have like two slots in our top six where we can kind of stream players that are on the hot hand and who need to just have like a little bit less time on ice, and I think that can really preserve this team going forward. I love that the top line seem to be producing. O'Connor is a dog. I mean, I love what we got out of this kid. He just talk about showing heart. He was like everybody. He's like a fan favorite. He's
Yeah.
that little under line and dog who's just like every time you put him on any line, he just goes 110%. And I love that guy. I'm so glad he's on our team. Now with Rutger though, we can always move out Rust and Raquel, and now we got Rutger, so we got the triple R's coming here, and we can you could throw anybody up and down on this just to kind of create some depth and save some legs on this team, and I'm pretty happy about it, man, especially compared to last year. We got a little bit grittier, we got a little bit faster, and I just feel like our power play cannot there's just no way our power play can be like it was last year, and that was our missing key piece to like having a playoff team. So
Right.
if we just do what we did last year but up the power play, it's got to be much better than it was. So I'm pretty optimistic here. I am a little concerned about our defense. It doesn't look too hot. Um,
Yeah, I don't. This is I mean, so again, daily faceoff. We're jumping around a lot. I just want to kind of recap the forward lines because O'Connor, he's a third line guy in this roster breakdown.
mhm.
Uh, and if he is just genuinely a left wing, then that makes sense because Bunting has to go somewhere. And Bunting, Malking, Raquel looks like a good veteran grind line. Again,
Sure
it's a
is.
grind line though. I don't know if it's the point producing second line you guys are used to. Like it's going to be more gritty. It's not going to be as high scoring as it was. I know
You
Melkin
sure
had a
about that?
fucking hat trick in
We had a Gino
preseason.
Hattie. We had a Gino
See,
Hattie.
you're not letting this balance. You're not allowing your emotions to stay in check. You're
I
having a
can't.
preseason hat. Okay,
Can't. Gino Hattie,
stop,
baby.
stop raising the cup. It's a fucking preseason.
Let's go.
Let's go. You okay? O'Connor, Eller, Puljujärvi, pool party, love it. Kevin Hayes makes his big fat contract down to the fourth line with Nola Chari, my guy. I love
we
Nola
didn't we
Chari.
didn't take on that full contract, by the way,
I don't care. He's getting paid by 7 teams to play on your fourth line.
and we ain't paying him. We're paying him like a
You are
mill.
no, you're paying him a couple, but I'm excited to watch Cody Glass. Cody
Yeah,
Glass
me too.
needs to be in the NHL. You're right about the defense, dude. Matt Grizzlick's your top line left D.
No, actually, he probably won't be there top line for long. I think we're just trying to figure out our top piece with our worst piece, and we're just kind of funneling it down the line because we got Pedersen and Carlson, and then they're surrounded by dog shit. So
Ryan Graves is not dog shit.
he's
Ryan
been on
Graves
this team.
is
He's not looking good. He's not loved in
Ryan
this team.
Graves does not fit your system,
Right.
but he's not dog shit either. So I think hold off on that. But this Jack St. Ivany. Again, what is this? One of these fucking guys you pull up that's just going to be a Norris candidate that no one's ever fucking heard of? This is bullshit. Goaltending. What is this?
and we're just running it back. We've been playing our AHL guy for a bit here. He's young. He's super young.
All right.
Um, but he's looking pretty decent. I mean, for his age and what we're kind of doing with him, apparently there's high upside with him as well too. But
All right. We'll see. I think you guys have plenty to be optimistic about. I don't think it's worth being up in arms yet. Again, some things shined through the preseason that were nice. Other things, well, I guess they'll work themselves out in the season, like you said, right?
right,
I'm going to go real quick through the Bruins because there's two things I'm excited about. Now, the predictions here have Nikita Zadorov on the bottom pairing D, and I think that's incorrect. I think the flexibility that we have as an organization on the back end is going to make it so that for the first time ever, the Bruins are going into a season without like a top four set in stone. It's going to be right D McAvoy, right D Carlo, right D Peak, and that's never going to change. That is your 1, 2, 3. But on
mm-hmm.
the left side, dependent on game, those lefty are going to move around. You're up 2 goals, Zadorov goes up with McAvoy, and you shut this shit down. You're down 2 goals, Mason Lohrei, who's got the offensive touch, or Lindholm, who has the offensive touch, is starting to get their reps up on those top 2 lines. I love the idea of Lindholm and Mac. Last year, they kind of didn't look so great, and Lindholm looked very lost. This preseason, he looked like he was going to win the fucking Norris. He looked incredible. He was on. I think he was dealing with stuff last year, injury wise, and he looks healthy.
Yeah,
But
man,
Laura,
that's the scary thing if he gets back up to par here.
I mean, honestly, our I don't know of a better decor. I am not looking at it as a Bruins fan.
No,
I'm
I
looking
agree
at the
with you.
names, and I'm like, holy shit! Like even Andrew Peak, who I don't really peak. I was so pissed about getting him in the deadline. He looks great as a Bruin. He looks fucking great.
Right, I say it's a good system for him to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's just one of those names, right, where it's just like, hey, we can utilize this guy's strengths here, and it's just going to go a long way. Man, I know I'm looking at this defense too, man, and they're just
They're
big.
they're big and they're fast, and a lot of them have offensive upside for being big and
Oh
fast.
yeah. Hmm.
This decor is very exciting. It's what I'm rallying behind this year. It's what I'm most excited about as a position in general. So to watch this kind of caliber defensive structure, I'm excited.
So that's
For
good news for you guys because that's kind of like our differences here, right? Like we need to have top goal scorers because on our back end, it's notorious for just Jari letting in pillows. And then fucking our defense is just kind of getting burnt because they're all tall and slim and they just can't hit and chip away. Where you guys can just score 2 goals and then be like, all right, wall time,
shut it
shut
down.
it
Yep.
down. Or
Yep.
we need 6, 7 goals just to go to have a 7-5 game.
Question is, are we able to score 2 goals? Because that moves us up to the top lines where I'm like, listen, there's no one better to do it than Pasta, right? He's our guy, but it
Right.
can't just be him again. There was such a point discrepancy last year between Pasta and the second guy.
Right.
Like we need secondary scoring, and I'm not sure it was addressed. Uh, I love our top line. Elias Lindholm coming over, Bergeron Light. I think he's the perfect guy to put there.
I agree
Uh,
too. Yeah.
Coyle and Marchand have a good system in place for. I mean, you're never mad at them, but you want more from them, and
Well,
they didn't address that.
Marchand was clearly battling through like 7
He had
injuries
three
last year.
surgeries in the
That's what I'm
offseason.
saying. Like,
Three. Like
which brings me
I'm
to my
not.
next question for you too. After 3 surgeries, do you think? I mean, the guy is just tough as fuck. Always has been. He's a rat, but just you got
He's
to
a rat.
respect him. Got to
Yeah, he's
respect
a.
him. Because he's just still just pisses everybody off. He's a pest, and like I love that. I wish we had a little bit more of that. Um, After 3 surgeries, though, do you think? I mean, regret. I don't see a regression year out of him, man. If he played like that last year with it, you can almost expect him to get better this year with that. And that's again scary. It's not this 25 shots on goal thing. I just can't see lasting very long because even Coyle had some pretty good stats last year, while he had a guy with dragging 3 limbs apparently next to him the entire time.
there's a couple questions there, right? Like, can Marshawn continue? Marshawn's older. It's He's going to be a Bruin the rest of his career. He's going to be a Bruin for life. He's going to get signed to an extension at some point here. Um, no, I don't see him regressing, but I don't see him making it much better. And I feel like it's going to be harder to obtain what he did last year than it was last year with injuries. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the way he plays the game, love it or hate it, is hard on your body. He has had multiple surgeries every year. He consistently injured uh, and fighting through it. And I remember we didn't really know what we had with Marshawn when he was young. He came through our system and worked his way up to the first line in the first year and won the cup with Bergeron on Bergeron's line, right? And
Mhm.
actually back then that was the second line. Krejci line was number one. So he worked his way up three lines, and then a couple years passed of us still being somewhat a dynasty that was making the finals and stuff against the Blackhawks, blah blah blah. Then we lost Sagan, and I at the time was like, why the fuck are we losing Tyler Sagan? I would have preferred to lose Brad Marchand. I was really glad that I was wrong about that. Marchand is not. I don't own this guy's jersey. I don't respect a lot of the way he's played the game over the last decade. I'm a hockey fan. I'm a Bruins fan first. I'm a hockey fan first. And when you play like a piece of shit, I don't fucking like you. I don't want you out there fucking concussing people. I don't want you out there slew footing people and ruining people's lives. I
Licking
want you.
faces.
That's fine. That's funny.
Oh, that's okay.
That's funny to me because it's not injuring. It's not because it's not fucking ending a career, is it?
Nah, just
Right. You want to be a piece of shit? Go be a piece of shit, and that's funny and entertaining. And again, I'm not rooting for it. But keep it off the fucking playoff chart. Like licking fucking licking the face of Callahan in the middle of the playoffs is one thing that really is just enough to have like the NHL talking and calling you.
a
But
clown.
licking Komarov's face, who openly doesn't like gay people, there's a reason behind it. I appreciate that. I can get behind that.
All right, fair, good argument. I didn't know that, but
That's where it started. So a lot of people don't know that, right? But again, you derailed me. Fuck his licking shit. I'm talking about the shit, the the stuff that I don't want to see out of any player. Right? Matt Cook
right,
on Savard. Matt Cook hit
right.
on Savard, right? Fuck Matt Cook. Fuck Brad Marchand for headhunting Marcus Johansson. Like, I am not behind him on that. The last 5 years of play, though, that kid has cleaned up his act, and he has become a great leader for this team. And I really do appreciate what he brings to this team now, but I do not expect 30 goals anymore. I don't.
Mm,
And I'm fine with that. But it's not all on Marchand to have secondary scoring is the problem. You look at your roster, you look at your top nine, and I go, oh my god, you can get goals from anyone,
hmm
and they're not the star-studded cast of the Toronto Maple Leafs or the uh, you know Oilers or the Avalanche. But you have these pieces that can work, and after our top line, I'm just like, I don't think so. I don't think that there's anyone here that can actually do what I need them to do to produce at a level. Like Coyle had a good year. You are right. He was a great second line center. Not enough, bud. It's not enough.
yeah, clearly.
Let me pull up fucking. It doesn't matter. I'm just gonna estimate. I'm pretty sure that last year Pasta had 100 points out of 82 games.
Hmm
Maybe 110. The next guy had 60. Okay, that's what I don't think was addressed. And the
Oof.
next guy was Brad Marchand.
Oof.
Can you look that up? Let me look it up
Yeah,
because
I am right now.
it's that important. So while you look that up, tell me what those points numbers were, and I'll tell you why we needed to address that. And it will lead us to end my predictions and go into the Swayman deal.
I thought it was. Yeah, I had it on the nose. 110 points Pasta got
100,
last.
110 points, and who was second?
I don't have the team stats. Hold
That's all
on.
right, because it was Brad Marchand, and it was like 65 points, maybe 80. I don't know, but that's a 30-point difference. It's not good
Uh,
enough.
Your team was so bad last year with that they just actually wiped away the team stats on your website. It just says the club has not yet played a game in this regular season, guys. Let's just focus on the future, is what they're saying.
Dude,
It says,
okay,
please enjoy these regular season highlights.
let me. That's so funny. I want to tell you
you just
something. So,
just
do you,
buried
do
it.
you, did you ever use Cap Friendly, the website?
Yeah.
Here and there, right? It was
Hmm.
something I was on every fucking day. Like I am a
Huh.
nerd about like the salary cap stuff and just like how to make things work because I would make up these trade scenarios for the Bruins and then like research them. How do we make this fit? And then me and Tommy would just fucking scream at each other for 3 months about how this was going to work. And so Cap Friendly's gone. And it's because the Washington Capitals organization bought the rights to it and shut it down. And the ongoing joke was that they did this, and the timing was great. They bought it, and then like the next day they traded for PLD. And there was somebody posted online as like they bought Cap Friendly so they wouldn't get roasted for what they just did. So no one could see the evidence of how bad the fucking PLD signing was. It was my favorite thing in the world. But
Oh, that's great. That's great.
so so we didn't address scoring. Our bottom six is big trees, big bears. We talked about that. That's going to be fun for us, man. I cannot wait to every game be up, standing up in my seat, going, kill them, get them, hit them, fucking beat them up, like because that's what the Bruins do, and the bottom
That's
six will
Bruins
do it.
hockey, baby. That's Bruins hockey.
But we need a right wing on the second line, bad.
Yeah.
Yep. So we'll see what happens. Defense is great. Goaltending. Let's just call it what it is.
Real quick,
Horrible, horrible.
before you jump into that really quick, just for that
Sure.
addressing that wing situation in Boston, what is your cap situation? Can you go and fight for somebody who's kind of showing
No,
some promise, or
nope.
strapped, huh?
300K. Injuries will happen. I'm wondering what they're going to do with Tyler Johnson, who's on a PTO now, if they're going to
Mhm.
sign him or not now that Sway's done. There's going to be some movement. And all of this segues into what this pod is for today, why we're doing it right now, and it's the Swayman deal is done.
Yeah, I woke up to a text of 8 by 8.25, and
Yeah.
my first thought was, I don't care. So what?
Okay,
What does
so
that
there's
mean?
a
What does that mean to you?
I'm angry, dude. I'm angry about all angles of this situation. Number one, man, I don't even know where to fucking begin because this is all I've talked about for 3 weeks. Like, this is it. And I think every single person involved in this handled it poorly. Um, Number one, let's just call it what it is. I am a player guy. I'm player focused over the management of the Boston Bruins. I'm not going to sit here and badmouth Don and Cam. They do enough terrible things that everyone does that. Like, I don't trust management like I used to, and the guy I used to trust was crazy too. Like, it's just the way it is in this world. It's a business.
Mhm.
Everything they do, I'm opposed to usually, and I'm generally on the side of like, hey, I want you to treat our players with respect, and there's a level there. I thought Swayman's. This is such a weird thing because all I'm reporting on is what the rumors were, right? So here's the bigger rumors. Swayman's camp apparently showed up asking for the world, wanted to be paid the same or more than the number one goalies in the league.
Insane.
Bruins camp showed up with an offer that was disrespectful, that was a bridge deal, around 6 mil. So if Sway's asking for 9.5 to 10.5 million and the Bruins are offering 6 to 6.5 million, the middle was always 8 million, right? There's the middle. Negotiation aside, if you're going to be around the $8 million mark, what is the incentive to keep him long term, which is what both parties wanted? And how do you make this deal work for both sides? Well, maybe you front load it, maybe you add some trade protection, maybe you add some movement clauses, all those things that benefit the player. That's what you work out. But Swayman's camp has been a brick wall about movement on what they wanted to do. And he himself has come out and said, I want to reset the goalie market. I got some problems with that, Swayman. I don't care what your bank account looks like. That doesn't impact my life at all. I don't care what the Bruins pay you. That doesn't impact my life at all. It actually doesn't do anything to me because these are greedy money business stuff that has nothing to do with the love of sports. That is a whole secondary thing. But we are in a cap era. We are in a salary cap sport. That is not going anywhere. And you are favoring resetting the goalie market for future goaltenders and yourself to benefit over your team right now. That's what you're telling me. You should get your money. You break your back for this team. You are a player for this team, and you should make the money that is owed to you. And you have every right to go in. Every single year I get a raise from work, and I go, I want more. And they go, no. And I go, okay, well, I'm going to go back to work now. That's how people do. I literally break my back for a middle class wage, right? And he breaks his back to be a millionaire. And now we're talking about splitting hairs on what a millionaire is. So I don't feel bad when you're making 8 million, 9 million, 10 million, you're making millions, right? That's what the general public is going to feel. And when you come out and you talk like that, you are going to alienate half of the fan base. Because all of us know Boston sports, and we know how hard those people work in that city and how disrespected they feel at a comment like that.
Oh, without a
They,
doubt.
they the guys at Boston Sand and Gravel don't give a fuck about your $2 million. Go tell them how you feel about setting the goalie market.
Oh,
Go
they
down to
will
old
tell him,
Houlihan's
and
bar.
Swayman then put him on a little list. He's
But
keeping notes. He's checking it twice.
yeah, buddy, that right there was so bratty.
I know, dude.
You're a brat,
Childish.
dude.
You're asking for
Like,
10 mil, and you're saying, "All right, I'm going to mark down every little thing that somebody says about me when you're being an asshole."
buddy, you took them to arbitration, not the other way around. And in good faith, the Bruins, by the way, who I never have their back when it comes to this stuff, didn't sign you to a 2-year arbitration hearing. Like they did 1 year in good faith for you. They told you that they favored you over Allmark. Yes, they made a bunch of mistakes not signing Oli, or not signing you before they traded Allmark. Yes, they should have had this done already. Yes, we're here. This is on the Bruins. Yes, yes, yes. But stop being a fucking brat. You are hurting your team, man. And then today to wake up to 8.2 million where it should have been the whole fucking time anyway, all you did was waste time. Both of you wasted our fucking time. You had a media circus. You guys insulted each other publicly. Oh, it's his fault. It's his fault. You confused everybody, and now no one knows how to feel. I sent my wife the text. She goes, I don't know how to feel now. I go, that's fair. I go, that's
Yeah,
fair. Like,
yeah,
I don't know how to feel either. Are we better with Swayman? Yeah, he's a fucking fantastic goaltender. He is overpaid. He played 44 games last year.
yes,
He played 150 NHL games. Is he good enough though to make that contract in 2 years look silly? Yep. Yep.
yeah. Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
But if he doesn't, he's going
And
to be castrated in this town. They are
so,
going to burn him down.
right, he opened up a massive wound here in this whole time through this bullshit money negotiation thing. Like you just said, you just opened up and divided a whole fan base, a whole team within its team. That's a big wound. And now let's just say the wound is scabbed over, right? It's just scabbed. It still
Yeah.
hurts. It's still annoying, but you stop the bleeding. What is that level for them to reopen that scab again? Like, is it because like if he does anything under a 900 save percentage, like he's done.
Yeah.
He's done because that's not good enough from those goal scores that you were just talking about. If he's letting in goals, more than two
Yeah.
goals a game, 3 goals a game, you're losing a good percentage of your season.
Listen, it's simple. You're talking to a fan base, asking a question to a fan base that would, oh my God, lose their mind, including myself, over Tuca, who was and every other NHL team hates the Bruins fans because of their take on Tuca. Like, you don't understand. We would have loved to have him in our system. And I'm going to be honest with you, and this is going to make it very hard for people to hear. I was not in Tuca's camp. Not because of what he did. It was not because of the money he made. I didn't really care for his personality. That wasn't it either. Every year he let me down when I needed him to make that save. And everybody that loved Tuca had an excuse for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a watch and evaluate based on watch. And I was fucking there when those two goals went in for the Blackhawks. We were a goal away from going to game 7. I was
Mm-hmm.
there. I needed you to stop that puck. That's your job. Yes, the defense broke down in front of you. That's when you come in and you make that save. Tim Thomas made that save and won us a Stanley Cup. And now every year there's somebody that has a team that has a goalie that didn't make that save when they needed him to every year. And Tuukka was that guy for me. So I was not on Tuukka's side with things. I was like, he was never going to be the guy for me that was going to take us over the edge. And now I've got 8 years with a guy that I don't know if he can or not to. And so do the fans.
It's a long time, dude, and a big contract. And like, sure, you split the difference, but it's still splitting the difference on an overpay
Yeah.
for a guy who has not proven to be just on his own yet. Olmark was a fantastic person to kind of sit on his back and to make him feel comfortable, kept him competitive. Now, is Corpy going to do that? I can't
No.
see the same way. It's just like there's no way.
The Allmark signing was as weird as this one. I am not going to inflate things that are not true. Corpusalo is not the answer for a backup goaltender. And now he's with a guy that's only ever been a 1A, 1B.
Right.
Allmark was successful because he came over to a good system from Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
He is a good goaltender,
Yes, he
and
is.
he also had a partner that was just as good.
Right.
Now we don't have him, and we are paying a guy to do more than what he did, and we have no evidence that he can.
Right.
Let's brighten this scenario up, though. He is phenomenal. He is showing signs of being a franchise goaltender. He is somebody that you should invest your time in. Where would I have been personally comfortable with? A bridge deal. I would have liked to have a 2-year deal
Right.
that,
That would have made more sense.
yeah, I
I
would have
mean,
liked that because then we would have had 2 years with him and Corpusalo to make, and honestly, probably would have been better for him personally to get a 2-year bridge deal because if he was what he thinks he is, he might have been in Sorokin territory. He might have
right.
been making 11 mil per year for 8 years after that bridge deal. We were in a situation where that didn't happen, and we have him at 8 by 8.25. So what's the positives? Well, if he is everything that you think he can be, then that deal is going to look great in a couple years. There's no
Right.
argument there. There's no argument. I'm not an idiot.
Right.
But if he's not, that deal is going to hamper us for the rest of that time. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that question. And I don't like the way either side handled it. Fuck Cam Neely for coming out and saying 64 million reasons to play. You
Right.
insulted and made the fan base hate who you're trying to give $64 million to. Do you know how counterproductive that is as a statement?
Right, because that's
Hey,
behind the scenes talk typically. Like, you don't put that out there in the news
why?
stating that because that's their battle between, basically like they're both like lawyers, basically, right? So they're just two lawyers lawyering. But you don't come out on fucking national TV and news and saying, like, well, I should have 64 million. Yeah, you know what? Well, look at that, pal. You just paid 64 plus million,
66.
66 now.
So
And
you wanted the heat off of your organization on how you've botched this whole entire fucking thing, which you did, take the ownership, and then instead of handling that well, you came out, you said you made everyone think that you offered 64 million, which is probably where you were at the time. All that did was put the onage on Swayman to get this deal done. And honestly, I hate his agent because I hate all agents. Why would I like them? They're just
right,
they're there to rip off Jeremy, by the way. Like
right,
they're doing nothing else. And he comes out and he goes, "That's not fair to Jeremy." That sentence makes sense to me. It wasn't. It wasn't fair to Jeremy. It made the whole fan base hate him for a different reason.
right,
If you want to be frustrated with Jeremy Swayman, be frustrated with Jeremy Swayman based on the evidence. The evidence is that your money and your future with this team is more important than right now with this team. That's the evidence. Getting a deal done before the season, though, today, that's a good thing. That's a good
it
thing.
had to be. It had to be. You could
Had to
not
get
go
done.
into the season with this. So, I mean, we all knew it was going to be. So then why have this little catty fight between each other publicly?
I don't know.
Crazy to me. And that's kind of, I mean, like, I don't really watch a lot of like Boston sports talk or anything else like that, but you don't really hear things coming out of their camp like this. So it's a little odd
Well,
that he,
Don,
I mean, I know he's kind of he stoked the flame a bit here, and it just kind of just grew into this. But yeah, I'm with you, dude. I think both sides just handled this so poorly, and I think it just left like a massive gap with a what if in this team. But I don't know, maybe they pivot it and use it as fuel somehow.
I gotta say, man, like Don's shut door when it comes to negotiations. Boston media doesn't leak a lot of stuff from their side of it. So when Cam did that, it was so left field. And it made a lot of people happy and it made a lot of people upset. And I just think personally, that has nothing to do with the sport. Why are we dealing with it? Like why are you putting that in our hands to make a decision based on a player? And then by the way, you gave him 8 fucking years here. So if you pissed everybody off with him, now they have to go root for him? That doesn't make any sense. A
Right,
casual fan, that makes no sense to. I wait a minute, I thought we hated him. Why is he here?
right.
Like I'm a I am a Bruins fan. That's who I care about. So I want Swayman to take the least amount of money so that we can add players to win a cup.
Right. And this is
If
a
it,
league that's selfless too. This is usually hockey's usually a selfless league. I mean, our captain's been taking 8.7 for his entire career. So you can
buddy,
add pieces to this. It's like
buddy,
it's wild.
he and I think it was the Steve Dangle podcast or a Toronto podcast. I want to highlight one of the guys there was like they brought up Crosby. And he's like, and someone was like, well, I think Crosby did well enough outside of his contract that it can offshoot. And the guy just looked at me, he goes, well, then Swayman do well enough. Like this is a cap. And it is. It's now cyclical. Like this is just going to go around in circles. This year, we're going to decide whether or not that contract is worth it. That's what's going to happen. So the saga fucking continues. Even at the end of the day, when he signs his contract, this story will continue. I have
Right.
faith, and I think everyone knows that Swayman is a good goaltender, and he is top 10 in the league already.
Hmm.
He might be top 5 in the league, and by the end of the year, he might be the he might be the Vezina winner. He might. There's potential there. There's potential there. There's also
You
potential for
can't
that
pull
to
him out of the
not be
bucket,
there.
but that's a tall order. He's gonna have to. I think from the fucking shit that he just stirred up here, he's gonna have to. Because again, it's not like your confidence gets better if you go and you're like, oh, all right, maybe because of all this happened, he's gonna be in his head. It's gonna throw everything off. There's a chemistry imbalance there, whatever. It's not like 3 years in this 8-year contract where he starts playing decent or well again. Boston will throw you out of that fucking town in a
Yeah,
matter of a week.
yeah,
So, and rightfully so, right? You should be kind of hard on these players and hold them accountable to this stuff. That's what a fan base is for. Fans do matter in this stuff. So, this whole thing just got pushed into the Bruins are in their brat era. That's what it is. The Bruins are in their brat era right now. And you guys
uh,
are all being catty little bitches over there in Beantown. So we got to fucking figure out if you guys can mend
I
this whole
fucking hate that
thing.
you're right. I hate that you're right
Yeah.
because you
Yeah,
are.
but
You're right.
it's real cute. It's real cute. I'm loving every second of it. I hope you guys fucking burn within that dumpster fire out there.
I
However,
got it.
I do love, I mean, it's still great for this league when the Bruins do well. And you need that team to do well. And you need them to play that style of hockey that we all know Boston is. And now I'm looking at a team right now in a scenario which I've never really seen before. And I
Yeah,
mean,
me too.
if I were, I mean, like I just saw something out of the ordinary for the first time, and this whole city just fucking went up in arms. And now it's coming back to reality here, so it can be repaired. It's just a matter of, I'm really interested to seeing when is it when people go for his head to put it on a spike, or does he just shine through this? Because man, did he really? He
It's
already
good.
had pressure on him. He already had
The
pressure. And now you added, he added for himself. And I'm looking at him. He came in 2020 season. I know his games went up, but his save percentage is going down year after year.
yeah,
And now he's just sitting at really good, but not like Hellebuck or Ottinger. Like, well, maybe he'd be in that Ottinger range, So, but he's got to stay
buddy.
healthy too. That's a tough position, man, where you can easily pull a groin and shit. So,
Boom. There you go. If all right, take all of the, and this is the final thing I'm going to say on it. This is the final thing I'm going to say on it. You are asking for money that is paid to the highest goaltenders, and all of the highest goaltenders that have made that money have proven that they are the highest goaltenders. but you have not. And that's not of any fault of your own. You're in the best goalie tandem in the NHL for the last 30 years. Ullmark and Swayman were the best goalie tandem.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the love around the hug and all the cool shit that happened around that. You statistically were incredible. And Don has said many times, both goalies want to play 55 games a year. That's not possible. It's got to be one. You went with the younger one. You went with the one that had the most upside. It is in a salary with the salary cap growing every year. 4 years from now, if he's good, if he's the same way he's been, everybody will be okay with that contract.
Right.
And it will have flexibility, and it will have, you'll be able to add pieces around a team. But right now, it's a big number, it's scary, and you have not shown us that you're a number one goalie yet.
Right.
And we've said it every time. I do not want the NHL to get to a point where we're paying for people for what they will do. I want you to be paid at a value in what you've earned already that helps the team forward and is good for you. I think that Connor Hellebuck makes $8.5 million.
Yeah.
And I think that Jeremy Swayman makes 8.2. And I think those goalies are very different.
Yeah.
And Swayman has all the potential in the world to become Hellebuck. And
Sure.
I don't doubt him for a minute. I don't. But we do not know that. And now we have 8 years to find out. So
Yeah, and how many
that's the
times have
last
we
thing.
seen like goalies as just like mental, just basket cases, Like
Yeah.
that's the thing though. It's a big number for years. I think on the outside looking in, it's a little bit more concerning for the 8 years in a goalie. We kind of did that, and I was like, damn, we really strapped ourselves a bit, and it caused for a couple early years in that contract to kind of move pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Jari's deal, you know, I'm glad for the number that we got out of it and everything. But, we also had Flurry when he was really shining. Like there was like still time there to not strap 8 years in such a big price range. It's I don't know. It's just the 8 years is what concerns me with this thing because you don't get younger as you go on, and you're gonna say like 6, 7 years into this. I don't know. Can you like rewrite a contract or buy them out like in football or anything?
I
That's the
don't
shit
know
I'm
the
worried about.
details of the contract. That's the thing too. I don't know about the clauses. I don't know about the trade scenarios. I don't know any of that yet. That's not released, and we'll find that out. And that might either make me more upset or more happy. Like
I guess
trade
time will tell.
protection wise, that time will tell. Here's the thing. You're right. Goalies can be head cases, and they can have bad years. Like you talked about Bob. Everybody now forgot how much they shit on Bob
Right.
because he won a cup, and that's exactly what Swayman has to do now. You want everyone to forget about this. Go win a cup because that's the only real way out. That's the only
You got to win.
justification to the
That's
money
it.
that
You
you
got to
made. You
win.
have to win, and that's the truth. And for fans that are into the culture in the room, that doesn't change based on the scenario. I think people are really worked up that like, hey, he's not following in suit with the Bergerons, with the Marchands, with the Krejcis, with the Charas. Um, to a point, they're right because the not because of the value of the dollar, right? Like it's the fucking arrogance in the whole thing. That's the difference. When
Right.
Bergeron, this is documented everywhere, so it's not a rumor. But I don't know the money details. But I will say this: let's just make up a number and say that his agent called Patrice Bergeron and said, "We're going to give you 8 million. They're offering you $8 million." Bergeron's response was, "Call them back and say I'll take 1.5 million less." The number doesn't matter. It's the way in which Bergeron handled it.
Right.
And that's very well documented. I think his agent said this on with Spit and Chicklets or something like that. And it's out there. And it's the same thing with the Sidney Crosby, right? Like I just want to win. And I
Right.
want the culture in this room to want to win. And if I can save the organization this money to put pieces around me that will help me win, that's the priority. And it did not feel this way. And so
No.
everybody that feels that way about culture has every right to be upset with Swayman's camp right now. And Swayman has every right in the world to try his best to make the most money he can in this league because this league will eat him alive and spit him out. Fans, organization, management, agents, or everything is against him. He has stability. he has a future now as an individual. Sorry, Sway, I don't care about that. I'm a Bruins fan, but I am glad that you have that stability now. But now go fucking show us that you are worth it, because that's
Right.
all we want. At the end of the
Well,
day, give him $100 million billion. As long as it fucking equates to a Stanley Cup championship, no one will ever think about it again.
oh,
Whether you're a
100%.
whether you're a culture guy, a management guy, a Bruins guy, a Swayman guy, all of us are happy.
This is sports, baby. The only
That's
thing we care
sports.
about is that W column. That's it. That changes everything and anywhere, no matter what sport,
100%.
if you win, you shut people up. They can't say anything about it. But he's got a cute little Santa list that he kept all the bad comments against him,
Yeah.
so he's just going to keep on.
Hey, I brought you here to this argument, and then you said mean things about me.
Oh,
Oh,
jeez.
oh, geez. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Grow up.
It's so,
Grow the fuck
it's
up.
crazy. Crazy.
Listen, before we started this pod, we were interrupted 3 times. And even in this, what we're about to produce, there's going to be a split scene because we were pulling our hair out. But me and you both looked at each other and said, 30 minutes to 45 minutes, we're looking at about an hour 10. It is
Yeah,
time to go.
it is. It is.
I am fucking so stoked that we have regular season hockey to talk about next week.
Oh man, we're here, buddy, and I'm fucking stoked about it. So yeah, your team stinks. My team looks fucking great.
Yeah, man.
Our
I
fantasy
wrote
team's
something.
got much better since last year, which is great to take away from this.
I got
I
this
think
written down right here. This is important to say. Your team is actually the dog shit team. My team, it looks like a cup contender, and my fantasy team is going to destroy your mid ass fucking team that
that I
has
can
none.
possibly agree with. Looking back on your team, that fantasy team looks great.
Your
However,
captain has mumps again.
the Boston Brats aren't going to fucking
I,
do jack shit this fucking year with 25 shots on goal. Take a fucking lap.
Goodbye,
However,
everybody. Goodbye,
however,
everybody.
this has been not a good hockey pod.